Okay, we're now going to look at composite functions. I've got f of x equals 2x and g of x equals x minus 3. First thing I'm going to look for is f of 2. Well, the f function tells me whatever's in the bracket to write it down and multiply it by 2. So whatever's in the bracket, write it down and multiply it by 2. 2 lots of 2, and that's 4. Next one I'm looking for f of g of x. Well, f of g of x is f of, well, g of x is equal to x minus 3. So that's x minus 3. So again, the f function is whatever's in the bracket, write it down and double it. So whatever's in the bracket, write it down and double it. And that'll give me 2x minus 6. I'm now going to look for g of f of x. So that's g of, well, f of x is equal to 2x. Now remember that the g function, g of x, is equal to x minus 3. So whatever's in the bracket, you write it down, you take away 3. So whatever's in the bracket, you write it down and you take away 3. Example 2. I've got f of x equals x cubed plus 1 and g of x is equal to 1 over x. The first question is to find h of x, where h of x equals f of g of x. Well, if h of x is f of g of x, then f of g of x is f of 1 over x, since g of x equals 1 over x. I can then see clearly that the f function is whatever's in the bracket, write it down, cube it, and plus 1. So whatever's in the bracket, write it down, cube it, and add 1. So whatever's in the bracket, write it down, cube it, and add 1. And that could be written as 1 over x cubed plus 1. The next question is looking for k of x, and k of x is equal to g of f of x. So that's g of f of x, which is x cubed plus 1. So the g function is whatever's in the bracket, you write it down, and it's 1 over whatever's inside the bracket. So it's 1 over whatever is inside the bracket. Okay, the next example, I've got f of x equals x minus 1 bracket x plus 3 and g of x is equal to x squared plus 3. The question then says, show that f of g of x minus g of x is equal to 2x squared. Well, the f function is whatever's in the bracket, you write it down, you take away 1 in a first bracket, multiplied by, you write it down again in a second bracket, and add 1, 3. Well, f of g of x is equal to f of x squared plus 3. So let's first of all find out what f of g of x is. So f of x squared plus 3. So whatever's in the bracket, I'll write it down, I take away 1, and that's in the first bracket. So that will be x squared plus 3 minus 1. And then the second bracket, well, I write it down and I add on 3. So whatever's in the bracket, x squared plus 3, I then add on a further 3. So I can tidy this up in here, that will be x squared plus 2 bracket x squared plus 6. I could then use FOIL method to open this up. So x squared times x squared would be x to the power 4. X squared times 6 is 6x squared. And then 2 times x squared is 2x squared. Finally, 2 times 6 is 12. I can tidy that up. And that will give me x to the 4 plus 8x squared plus 12. I'm now going to look to find g of x. So that's g of x is equal to x squared plus 3. The g function tells me that whatever in the bracket, I write it down, I square it and add on 3. So whatever's in the bracket, I write it down, I square it and then add on 3. So that's x squared plus 3 times x squared plus 3, and I need to add on a 3 at the end. So that will be x to the 4 plus 3x squared plus 3x squared again, plus 3 times 3 is 9 plus 3, I can tidy that up. That will be x to the 4 plus 6x squared plus 12. I'm then to prove that f of g of x minus g of x is equal to 2x squared. So there's f of g of x to the 4 plus 8x squared plus 12 minus g of x, so I'll put that in a bracket because there's more than one term to show that I'm subtracting all of it. So then x to the 4 minus x to the 4 will cancel. I've got 8x squared minus 6x squared, which is 2x squared, and 12 minus 12 will cancel, and there's the final answer, 2x squared as required. One more example, this time I've got f of x equals 2 over 1 minus x, and g of x is equal to 1 minus 2 over x. The question's asked me to find f of g of x. Well, f of g of x is f of 1 minus 2 over x. So the f function is whatever's in the bracket is on the denominator with a 1 minus next to it and a 2 up top. So that's 2 over 1 minus whatever's in the bracket, which is 1 minus 2 over x. So that's 2 over 1 minus 1 cancels out, and a minus times a minus is a plus. So that will be 2 over 2 over x. So 2 divided by 2 over x. So change divide to multiply, flip the second fraction upside down. Those two cancel and give me an answer of x. Part B of the question then says state the connection between the two functions. If we do f of g of x and end up with an answer of x, that result tells me that the functions are inverses. So if you perform a composite function and get an answer of x, that tells you that the functions are inverses. That's the expected result for inverse functions.